So we learned last week that Donald Trump wanted to fire Special Investigator Robert Mueller, and his attorney and some staff members said, listen, if you do that, we're quitting. So Trump backed off of that because he was basically put in a corner where if you do that, the few remaining allies you have left are gonzo. So you can't do it because then, the White House is, if that came to fruition, the White House would be in beyond a crisis mode to the point where no matter how much Trump bullshits, he can't get around that fact. Well, let's take a minute to see how Trump's chief propagandist, Sean Hannity, responded.
Now, tonight, for example, they're trying to change the story. At this hour, the New York Times is trying to distract you. They have a story that Trump wanted Mueller fired sometime last June, and our sources, and I've checked in with many of them, they're not confirming that tonight. And the president's attorney dismissed the story and says, no comment, we're not going there. And how many times has the New York Times and others gotten it wrong? All right, so we have sources tonight just confirming to Ed Henry that, maybe Donald Trump wanted to fire the special counsel for conflict. Does he not have the right to raise those questions? We'll deal with this tomorrow night. We have a shocking video of the day to bring you, by the way. This footage comes to us from Arizona, where you see that red SUV, high-speed police chase. Ultimately, the suspect.
That was glorious. This is probably fake news. He didn't do it. Our sources aren't confirming that, so, yeah, no problem here. Nothing to see here. And then I believe that was about 30 or 40 minutes later when Fox News did confirm it. They come back to him. He's like, yeah, but so what? And maybe he did it. Maybe he did it. Doesn't matter. Anyway, let's car chase, car crash. God, you're such a sycophant, son. It's so obvious with a guy like Sean Hannity how much of a hack he is because he just flips his opinion based on his own partisan leanings. Now, you might say, well, this is one example, so that doesn't prove anything. Really? Have you seen the clip from when he supported the NSA spying program and he supported warrantless spying under George W. Bush to when Obama was doing the same thing? All of a sudden, he flipped and he's against it, and he cares about First Amendment and your privacy rights and your protection from unreasonable search and seizure. Government can't do this.
We know that you're against the NSA data mining. We know that you're against the NSA surveillance program. So the question is, where does the Democratic Party, what will you do if you're elected to power to make our country safer in the war on terror? Specifically, what will your party support? Your party brags about killing the Patriot Act. You don't want the NSA surveillance. You don't want data mining. We have Pat Leahy saying that he doesn't want a NSA surveillance program. Nancy Pelosi, the woman who'd love to be speaker, she's against the NSA surveillance program.
Yeah, sure.
You mentioned that, and you mentioned the very specific things, the Patriot Act, the NSA surveillance program. The party that's weak on national defense, that doesn't want the Patriot Act, the NSA program, the data mining program. Is it right to say that, for example, on issues involving national security, be it the NSA surveillance program, the data mining program, the Patriot Act, Guantanamo Bay, that Democrats are weak on issues involving national security? When our techniques are working. We've got the NSA program here. We've got the Patriot Act program here. In light of this, how close this was, it's staggering to me that we're even debating the use of these techniques in this country, even at this time. Big Brother is monitoring your every move, whether it be online or on the telephone. Let's talk about why this story, why is this important to you? Number one, this is America, and as law-abiding American citizens, you have a right to privacy. Number two, these actions by the Obama administration are a clear, very clear violation of the Fourth Amendment, which prohibits unreasonable search and seizure. Number three, the Constitution. It is our rule of law. If we do not respect and honor the Constitution, then anarchy and tyranny will there follow.
That's how much of a hack he is. He'll flip. That's all it takes. And he's like, oh, shit. So Republicans used to do it. I'll defend it when Republicans did it. A Democrat does it now. I'm against it, and it's the worst thing ever. He is the worst. And then that's the hallmark of a hacky argument is he's saying Trump didn't do it, because obviously if he did it, our sources aren't confirming it, but if he did it, it'd obviously be wrong. And then once you learn he did it, like, yeah, maybe there's nothing wrong with that. It's like, pick an argument, stay with it, but you can't because you work backwards from your conclusion, Sean. Now, listen, in my mind, everybody knows what my take is on the argument that Donald Trump is Vladimir Putin's puppet, or that he did treason against the United States. I think that is basically democratic Benghazi, and it is conspiracy mongering, and has led to a new Red Scare, a crackdown on social media, a movement to the right on foreign policy where Democrats are cheering a NATO buildup on Russia's border and arming Ukrainian rebels who happen to be neo-Nazis, by the way. So I don't agree with that argument. But I've also said a million times, I support what Robert Mueller's doing. Why? Well, look at what happened with Flynn. Look at what happened with Manafort. He's getting these guys on financial crimes. You know, Flynn, for example, took $500,000 from the Turkish government. Then he forces Washington to not arm the Kurds and goes, well, I don't think this is a good idea. Really? Why? He doesn't say. It's because he got $500,000 from the Turkish government and he's doing their bidding inside Washington and he didn't register as a foreign agent. So, and Manafort, money laundering. Yes, these guys are committing financial crimes out the wazoo. You can argue they're doing the bidding of foreign governments, but Ukraine and, in the case of Flynn, Turkey, you can argue Donald Trump has already done the bidding of Israel because Donald Trump, when he was president-elect, his administration called countries at the UN and said, don't vote in favor of condemning them for the illegal occupation. That already happened. You have millions of dollars given to Jared Kushner from Israeli banks. We know that happened. In the case of Saudi Arabia, they gave Trump $270,000 to stay at his hotel. Why? Did it cost that much? No, that's a bribe. Trump registered 8 new businesses in Saudi Arabia when he was on the campaign trail. And then, wow, lo and behold, he gets power and he does a $350 billion weapons deal with Saudi Arabia. So there's a quid pro quo there. There's your collusion. There's your doing the bidding of a foreign government with Saudi Arabia, with Turkey, with Israel. There's no evidence of Donald Trump doing the bidding of the Russian government. He's done no pro-Russia policies. But there is evidence of money laundering. And there is evidence of financial crimes and bribery. Money laundering happened in the Panama Hotel. Not with the Russian government, but with the mafia. So he's been in bed laundering money for the mafia at this Panama Hotel. There's mountains of evidence for that. And the reason why I support Robert Mueller is because they announced about 6 months ago or maybe more that, the scope of the investigation is not just Russian collusion and Donald Trump committing treason. No, it's also his business empire. And if you're going to look for crimes in Trump's business empire, you're going to find it. Now, they're never going to nab him on collusion with Saudi Arabia and Israel, even though I think he did that 100%, because those are our allies. So, it's the respectable thing in Washington. Oh, that's fine if you sell out to a foreign government, if it's one of our allies. But again, what they will get him on is not him doing treason with Russia, but him doing money laundering and stuff like that. So if Donald Trump were to fire Robert Mueller, okay, yes, he's trying to cover up the fact that he committed crimes. Duh. And even if you say, no, I don't think he did any crimes at all, no financial crimes, no nothing. Well, on principle, a president shouldn't be able to fire a special investigator. What? That's fucking crazy. That's like, like the police department is investigating you and you go, no, I'm firing you. You're dismissed. What? But they're investigating you. You don't have the authority to fire them. If you have the authority to fire them, then it's not a real investigation. It's not an independent investigation. It's you are pulling the strings and you have control. And of course you shouldn't have control of an investigation into your wrongdoings. That's nuts. But the reports are he tried to fire him. Oh, goodness. So what happens next? Okay, we're going to appoint another special prosecutor. And then Trump will try to fire that guy. Is he trying to cover shit up? Of course he's trying to cover shit up. Again, he's not trying to cover up treason. I don't think he did treason with Russia. He's not Putin's puppet or whatever goofy pipe dream the corporate Democrats have. But he sure as hell did money laundering. Now, by the way, I don't know where this is going to end up, because what's going to happen? What are you going to get, the majority Republican Congress to impeach him? Good luck. And then even if you get that, you still have Pence. And then you still have to resist just as hard, because Pence is probably about equally as bad as Trump. So then what? This is a way for the corporate Democrats to resist without resisting, ultimately. But on principle, no, you can't have Donald Trump fire Robert Mueller. And the fact that he even considered that, never mind said, I'm going to do it. Man, that should be concerning to everybody, regardless of where you fall politically.